so many really cool things to share. Now, first off, Betsy, the roots in Ohio, let's start there because I learned something actually back when I started here at WBNS TV that Jeff Radigan, who is the lead flight director for the mission, he's actually from an Ohio guy as well. He went to Ohio State University, the Ohio State University. He met his wife here, and now he sits behind one of those very important roles with flight directing. Then you have Rick Henfling, who is a flight director. Now his job and responsibility is going to be when the Orion returns, when it's coming back. And this thing is going at about 25,000 miles per hour to 20 miles per hour, just to give you a perspective of how fast they're going to be coming back into Earth after their journey. And so Rick's job is actually going to be making sure they get home safely. Now he's also from Ohio. He's a Northeast Ohio guy, and Betsy's stomping grounds in Cleveland, my hometown, Parma, Ohio. But Gene Kranz, I do have to also add this. He's the chief flight director that was from back in the Apollo era, Apollo 11 and then Apollo 13, and he was the one that brought the astronauts back safely home. He's also an Ohio guy from Northwest Ohio in Toledo. And so really exciting, I think, with that Ohio connection, because Ohio right now is continuing to grow as a state for aerospace innovation as well as defense and aviation in general. And I think, guys, it's cool because it goes back to the Wright brothers, which was way different than the flights that we're taking now. But it's just going to show full circle what we're doing here in Ohio, which I think is fascinating. Is there anything that just scares you about your role or makes you nervous?
We always have opportunities to consult with the astronauts and advise them on how to respond to failures, except for one particular area. As we are coming up on some of the parachute deploys, the timing is really critical, and there just isn't enough time. If a parachute deploy doesn't go well, there's not enough time for the astronauts to call down to the ground, for the ground to think about it, and then for us to provide a recommendation to the astronauts. So we have procedures for the astronauts to respond in real time, but you know, as the lead of the team on the ground, we like to have control and have an opportunity to advise those astronauts. And when it comes to the parachute deploy, there really won't be that kind of time. And so the system needs to work, and if it doesn't work, the astronauts have procedures to work around that problem.
How does it feel to be involved in this new age space race that we're in right now?
It's a super prestigious honor. You know, there's not a whole lot of folks that get to work in mission control, let alone be a flight director for the mission. And it's a tremendous honor, and we hope that the results of this mission provide a highlight to all of America this year as we highlight the 250th anniversary.
What about NASA growing up? Did it stand out to you? Was it something that was always there? I mean, you have all these movies, all these books, and now it's becoming more and more. You see kids everywhere wearing NASA shirts or hats.
Yeah, when I was growing up, Apollo 13 was the big movie in the theaters. So I remember watching Apollo 13 all the time and really being amazed by what transpired during that mission. As I grew older, I read some of the books and learned even more about that mission and just what the flight controllers and the engineers here in Houston were able to do to save the astronauts as they were headed out towards the moon. And it's a super tremendous privilege to be a part of that going forward now.
What's the inside of the control room look like? I'm sure many of us wonder if it's the same as in the movies. Is it that same feel, or is it something that's a little more computery and techy?
It's been upgraded since the Apollo missions. It's really been upgraded even since you might have seen it during the space shuttle. The room is the same, but the consoles and the computers are different. We can actually fly any number of spacecraft out of any number of spots inside mission control. So down the hall from where we're going to fly Artemis II is the International Space Station flight control room. And we could fly the Artemis II mission from that room if we needed to. We have a distributed network of computers where we have a lot of flexibility in where we fly the mission from. And so while there is some commonality to how we did the mission back in Apollo, we also have a lot of pretty advanced computer systems involved.
For maybe a child or kids that are watching right now, that maybe they see themselves as someone like you down the road, especially kids all across Ohio, what advice would you give them about embarking on a career mission like this?
I would say that there's a lot of extremely important roles that make up the Artemis mission. There's obviously the 4 astronauts inside the spacecraft, but we have teams of engineers, we have public affairs people, we have legal representation, we have business office people. There's a lot of different roles, and if you're interested in space, depending on where you end up at school, there's very likely an opportunity for you to come and participate in the mission. Even without a college degree, we have opportunities to work as a technician. We need people who are good welders, who can create those big fuel tanks. We need electricians who can help diagnose electrical problems or run network cables across the spacecraft. There really is a role for everybody.
And that was Rick Henfling, who is a flight director for the NASA mission here, Artemis II. And I can tell you just from talking to him, I mean, such an inspiring story from somebody who in college decided he wanted to do this. And then all of a sudden now he's in the hot seat for when the astronauts are coming back. I mean, like you said, you go back to Apollo 13. I mean, I'm sure him watching that movie and knowing he's now in that same seat to talk to the astronauts, to guide them. And you can watch my full interview at 10tv.com. And I actually talked to him a little bit more. Well, what if something happens? What if it goes this way? And what's your most exciting thing? I mean, that's the thing about this mission, is telling these stories and the stories of this generation to inspire our future. And I think, guys, if we go back and talk about what he said, how it doesn't matter whether you're a high school graduate, whether you go to college, whether you get your master's, there's room in the space industry for everyone. And sometimes you just have to find that role and find it if it's going to be something that thrives and motivates you every single day.